The Fantastic Four are here, played by John Krasinski.
That's right, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm taking credit for this one. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is now playing in theaters worldwide, the multiversal adventure where Doctor Strange eventually meets the Illuminati. And before I go any further and name the members of the Illuminati, this video will have spoilers for a key scene in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. If you haven't seen the film, there's a spoiler-free review right here. Go watch it. This is your final spoiler warning. And if you like MCU, movies and TV, this is the place to be. So consider clicking that subscribe button and you won't miss any future conversation, spoiler-free or not, on your favorite MCU movies and TV. And when Dr. Stephen Strange gets trapped in Earth 838 and presented to the Illuminati, whose members include Black Bolt, Captain Carter, Maria Rambeau, Captain Marvel, Professor Charles Xavier, and John Krasinski as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. And it's in this moment where there's a quick exchange between these two. And it's where we get our first hint at the future of the Fantastic Four in the MCU, when Reed Richards says hello and Doctor Strange, somewhat confused, mentions that the Fantastic Four charted in the 60s. For those who don't know, in the comics, not only were the Fantastic Four the original Marvel family that emerged during the 60s, but they are very famous for charting unknown territory in space and in the negative zone, a parallel dimension to Earth. Think of it as kind of the dark dimension that we have with Dormammu in the films. Somewhat similar to that, or even similar to the quantum realm. To me, this is the first hint that we get the Fantastic Four in our Earth 616. Not only because Doctor Strange, our Doctor Strange, recognizes who Reed Richards is, he recognizes him as John Krasinski, but also after his line of, "Didn't you guys chart in the 60s?" we get a smirk from Reed Richards. He understands this line. And to me, that leads us to how the Fantastic Four will be introduced. Going back to the comparison between Negative Zone and Dark Dimension or Quantum Realm, which I think is more apt for what I predict they're going to do in the MCU, I think we're going to meet the Fantastic Four of the MCU in the 60s. They're going to be very advanced scientists who are taking chances, charting unknown territory, and we've already gotten hints that Hank Pym was working during the 60s and 70s. We might even learn that he picked up on exploring the quantum realm after the Fantastic Four, because I believe the Fantastic Four are going to go into the quantum realm during the 60s, get trapped, and it's in Ant-Man Quantumania where they're going to be free, that they're going to return to reality, but they're going to return in the 21st century after only days or even weeks in the quantum realm, creating this time incursion. Very similar to what is happening in the multiverse in Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, where they're breaking shifts between reality. I think there's going to be major repercussions about these four people who disappeared back in the 60s and are emerging right now. And the line by Doctor Strange of charting in the 60s somewhat alludes to the Fantastic Four being explorers, being scientists that chart these unknown territories to men. Furthermore, not only the line, not only Reed's recognition of what this line implies, the rest of the Illuminati are some played by actors who have been attached to these characters or versions of these characters. In Anson Mount as Black Bolt, Patrick Stewart as Professor X. We've seen Peggy Carter in the MCU, but we've seen an animated version of Captain Carter, and Maria Rambeau is a known character. She just didn't become Captain Marvel in our universe. These are all characters we recognize. These are all actors we recognize as these characters, except John Krasinski, who has been fan-cast by many people, myself included. Here's a fan-casting video for the Fantastic Four I did last year for you to check out. Cheap plug, I know. But being a dream fan-cast by so many is not exactly a reference, unlike all the other members of the Illuminati. But I only don't think it is a reference yet. I think this is our first hint that Reed Richards is going to be played by John Krasinski. I think this is our first hint and our first advancement into the Fantastic Four, and we're going to get these connections between this film and Ant-Man Quantumania, who is involving Kang the Conqueror, who we know is an eventual descendant of Reed Richards. We also hear that Reed Richards not only has a wife in this film, he has children. He mentioned specifically children in this film. So it's not just that he has Franklin Richards, it means he's also father to Valeria already. Now, I don't think necessarily you're going to get the kids in this film, at least not in the first movie, at least not in the 60s, but I think it's a very clear indication that Kevin Feige, the MCU, is already planning not only the Fantastic Four, but their descendancy and how that connects to the big picture. Yet another detail that I believe reinforces this theory of John Krasinski being inserted amongst this group of character-actor combos. There are references, and he's being introduced to us as our Mr. Fantastic, is that he's the only one we don't see using his powers. We see him stretching for a quick moment as he steps in between Wanda and the rest of the Illuminati, but while Black Bolt is in action killing their Stephen Strange, Peggy Carter, Captain Marvel, Maria Rambeau, they have a really great fight with Wanda, and even Professor Xavier steps into her mind. He shows through telepathy and telekinesis what happened to Stephen Strange of their Earth to our Stephen Strange. But Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, not really. We just see him undone. And I don't think that is without a reason. I don't think that is without meaning. And that's because we are going to see John Krasinski, we are going to see Mr. Fantastic, this version of Mr. Fantastic, using his powers. And so this conversation, this small line, plus this smirk and this nod of recognition, plus the grand picture as a whole, what the other characters being here represents, what John Krasinski being here as Reed Richards represents as well. To me, those are all hints that we're going to get John Krasinski as Reed Richards, but also that I called it. That we're going to get the Fantastic Four at least spend some time in the 60s, explore them as the first family of the MCU, because that's what's so interesting about the Fantastic Four. It's the family dynamic. Kevin Feige loves taking from the comics and adapting to the films to make its own thing, but he also loves celebrating what the comics did and what these characters from the comics represent, and I don't think anything would be better than getting the Fantastic Four and announcing them as the first family in the MCU. Even if they didn't become known as superheroes at the time, they only return as superheroes, and the world within the MCU and us as the fans rejoice. And to me, that is the biggest Easter egg in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's telling us where the franchise is going in the future. It's telling us how this brand new franchise is being introduced to us by giving us that nod, that wink of John Krasinski being here and giving us a glimpse of what they got planned. But that's only what I think. That's only how I see things. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Anything and everything down there in the comments below. What was your favorite moment, cameo, surprise, twist in Multiverse of Madness? Let me know down there. And I also have a spoiler review right up here for you to check it out. And I have a ton of Multiverse of Madness MCU coverage. I just reviewed every X-Men movie as well, so you can check all those out right now. And if you like what you saw here, make sure to click that subscribe button, and you won't miss any future conversation on your favorite MCU movies and TV. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Thank you to my channel members for supporting the channel. And until the next one, love each other and love the movies.